Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back. A very warm welcome to the Quarantine Zone. Thank you very much for tuning in. I am absolutely delighted to have with me a formidable young drummer who is dialing in from New York City. Kush, is it?
Yeah, correct. Brooklyn, New York, to be specific.
Great. So thank you so much for coming to hang out briefly with us, Kush. The eagle-eyed among you may have noticed that this is actually 9 p.m. now in the UK, or 4 p.m. in New York. And the reason that we decided to delay the start time was because Kush got a gig, I think. Well, I don't actually know. Kush, man, enlighten us. What you've been up to? I hope it was something
Uh,
not too personal and really interesting, obviously.
no, it's wasn't personal at all. It was a last minute call to do a video shoot at a rehearsal spot in Midtown, Mitchell Studios, with a great trumpet player, Benny Benak the third. So that was good. Yeah, that's how I spent my my afternoon.
Great.
And yeah, it's been a lot. It seems like the last few weeks or so, it's been a lot of last minute stuff
Mm,
as the city seems to start opening up,
yeah.
you know.
That's great news, man. Yeah, I was going to ask about that. Over here in London, things are opening up quite quickly. As you say, lots of last minute things. And I'm suddenly going, oh God, I got to prepare for this, prepare for that. It's kind of scary having been basically not exactly out of shape, but out of like gigging shape. I've been just recording solidly for like 16 months pretty much. So now, when you're recording, you agonize over a piece for like a day or, I mean, I don't know about you, but you can if you want to. But with a gig, it goes by so
Sure, of
quickly.
course.
So different type of prep, right? But yeah, how are things in New York? So are clubs opening up again, and you're working, you're playing live with audiences, or
Yes. Audiences have begun to be allowed in the venues. Seems to be pretty much to full capacity
hmm.
that I've experienced. And it's, like you said, it's not about exactly out of shape, but definitely not used to that much social interaction, especially within working. So it's can be a little overstimulating sometimes, um, but I'm super grateful for it, and it's just great to be back in the workforce.
Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely. So Kush, man, I first heard your playing. I think it was with Gilad Hexelman, and since then I've seen you and listened to you in a number of different contexts. Most recently, I think it was a stream from Smoke with Melissa Aldana. Um, and I caught you
Right,
guys in London. You stopped by the Pizza Express, Dean Street in London, if I remember
that's right.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's one of my favorite
yeah,
clubs.
exactly. Yeah,
So yeah, thanks for stopping
yeah,
by.
cool spot.
Yeah, I was doing some research, like checked out your biography and stuff, because obviously I know you're really good. But yeah, filling in some details. And there was one thing that stood out above everything else, which I was hoping you would be so kind as to tell us about, which is, have you ever been to the White House by any chance?
Yes, I've been to the White House twice, actually. Yeah, I was lucky enough to go. The first time, I believe it was 2000. Was it 2009, maybe? And then the second time was, I think, the following year, 2010. And both times, it was under by invitation from the first lady at the time, Michelle Obama. And yeah, it was a crazy experience. It's sometimes I kind of, not that I forget it happened, but it's just kind of, it is a bit surreal that it did happen. So sometimes I have to pinch myself that actually happened. But yeah, the first time it was actually playing with Paquito de Rivera,
Mm.
um, and the second time was with Wynton Marsalis. No, the first time was with Wynton too. I'm starting to get the memories crossed. Um,
That's kind of cool. You've
and
been to the White House so much
yeah,
that you're like,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know what, whatever. Yeah.
It's kind of, but yeah, that was a great experience. That was pretty awesome.
I'll bet. Yeah, I listened to. Have you checked out Questlove's podcast by any chance? Questlove Supreme. He like interviews people and stuff.
I'm trying to
You will have
think
checked
if
out.
I may have in
Yeah,
the past.
there's one episode where he talks to Michelle Obama, which is really interesting. So that's what made me
I
think
gotta
of that.
check that one out.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, there's loads of fascinating people on it, but yeah. Okay, so folks, if you're not that familiar with Kush's work, let me show you some of the records that Kush has played on. So I got some album covers here. So how about this one? Frank Lacey, Small's Legacy Band. This is really nice, kind of more straight ahead style jazz, I guess you could say. And then Wallace Roney. Hey Kush, you're gonna have to confirm for me that this is you on these actually. I researched it, but I'm not
Yeah.
100% sure. It sounds like you to me, so that's kind of
I am on both of those. The one that you have up now. I think I'm on the whole record. I think I'm
yeah,
on both of those. Yeah.
cool. All right,
Because
what
the
about
last record I did with Wallace, I'm not on the whole record.
okay,
So
okay. Hey, what about this one?
yeah. Yeah,
Aaron
Aaron.
Brennan.
I just played a gig with Aaron a few days ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
wicked. Um, I
Yeah.
did one summer semester at Berkeley, and Aaron was there, and I just remember it was completely mind blowing. He sounded completely different to everyone else, and it's really stayed in my mind. I mean, I remember a couple of people who I was friendly with, but musically, his name just and his playing, I can still remember what it sounded like, and so once a year I'll maybe see if he's released something. And last year, that record came out, so I was like, yeah, digging that very much.
Yeah, that was a long time in the making in the incubator there.
Right,
That
right, right.
record.
Cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, so like a music-y, drummy kind of question for you. Oh, one record I forgot. Ben
Sure.
Unson. Ben Unson. So if anyone's been
Yeah.
on Instagram recently, they will probably have seen Ben Unson. Unbelievable guitar player. Plays Strats normally, or Strat style
Incredible.
guitars. Like, unbelievable virtuoso. Great sound. Amazing improviser. And what strikes me about this, Kush, is with Frank Lacey, with Wallace, with Aaron Burnett, with Ben, all these musical contexts are quite different, which highlights to me just how versatile you are. And I just have a question. It's quite an indulgent question. When you're playing in these different contexts, do you treat them all the same? Do you think of them in the same way? Or do you set yourself parameters within which you operate for each context? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, I feel like if you were to treat every situation the same way, then that kind of hinders your versatility. So I like to treat every situation as is, and I like to adapt to my surroundings. So, for instance, if I'm if I'm playing a trad gig, I'm gonna just immerse myself in that world. If I'm playing a Latin gig, salsa gig, it's gonna be I'm surrounding myself with or just keeping in mind the that world and that style, trying to stay authentic to that. Or with rock or with jazz or different types of jazz, even if I'm playing, more straight eighth odd time versus, more straight ahead. Those are two completely different worlds to me, So, and then there's times where I like to overlap the worlds for sure, but I'm always thinking about what that situation requires, not how I play all the time. I always think about, let me actually, get very deep into sorry about that.
That's cool.
Deep into being authentic for
Yeah.
the style that I'm about to play.
Cool. Oh, that's great, man. That's really interesting. Tell me, are you practicing at all at the moment?
I am actually. I just started practicing again, and I just kind of felt a little more inspired lately to practice. I go through kind of periods in my life where I'm not practicing at all, especially if I'm touring a lot. It's just I'll warm up or something before a gig or in the hotel room. But the day-to-day like practice routine hasn't really been um, a constant for me since high school.
Mm.
So funny enough, what the pandemic uh, granted me was a lot of time to practice.
Mm.
So I chose to utilize that time, and I started to, kind of go back into the books I was studying out of in high school and college when
Mm.
I went to Berkeley.
Mm. Mm.
Stuff like this book, Four-Way Coordination, which is a really
Mm-hmm.
good book
Mm.
for independence of the limbs.
Mm.
Another great book, Syncopation,
Mm.
by Ted Reed. Ben Riley's books,
Yeah.
or
Drummers, I
not
hope
Ben
you're
Riley,
writing this
John
down.
Riley. Sorry, John Riley's books by mistake. The Art of Bop Drumming.
Mm.
That's a really good one. Um, and then I was checking out some Afro-Cuban stuff, some Latin stuff.
Mm.
Horacio Hernandez's book is great.
Mm.
Um, and um, yeah, just a bunch of different. Ignacio Barro's book is great. Just
Mm.
and also just like checking out different music, playing along with different things.
Mm.
Um, yeah, yeah. But I don't have like a set routine or
Mm.
anything. I kind of every session is different.
Mm.
I might practice for 2 hours. I might practice for 4 hours. I might practice for 20 minutes.
Mm.
I might work on something out of a book. I might just work on time. I might just play to a drumless track.
Mm.
It all really varies for me.
Cool. That's super
Yeah.
interesting. That's amazing that you've been productive. I think it's a time when a lot of musicians have had a real dip in motivation, understandably. So I've been noticing online a handful of people who have remained or begun practicing a lot, basically about a year ago, and kept that up. And so I have a lot of admiration for those people. It seems like you're one of them. Question about, okay, I saw a tweet recently, and this guy was saying, musicians, if you're not practicing with a metronome, you're not practicing. What do you think about that?
I think there's two schools of thought for that. One being, if you want to have good time or reliable time, and you want to trust your time for other people to trust your time, then yes, I think practicing with the metronome is crucial at all, 100%.
Yeah.
However, if you're, I would say, if you're practicing conceptually, or if you're practicing, just different avenues of how to do things, maybe the metronome isn't, as important. But for me, I would say the practice. I mean, practicing itself is you're trying to kind of polish something. You're trying to tighten all the screws. So yeah, metronome completely helps with that.
Yeah.
I remember Wayne Krantz actually said, if you want good time, you just got to play with the metronome. There's no other way about it,
Great.
But then with that, there are ways to practice with the metronome too. Like, you don't want robotic time. You don't want this you kind of want to play around with playing ahead of the beat, behind the beat.
Sure.
Lower it, mute it, see if you can catch it, see if you're in the same. But you got to play around with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I practice with the metronome a lot, and in the rare instances where I'm playing, where I have to take responsibility for the time, where there's no drummer, like for example, or no bass player, I notice that sometimes it feels quite exposed. And I guess when you're a drummer, you're used to taking responsibility for the time and stating where it is to support other people around you some of the time, if not all the time, actually. But yeah, it's interesting. I guess the argument, I can see how it's helpful to practice without a metronome in that instance. But yeah, certainly for the bulk of my practice, I do with a metronome. I don't know if that's right. We'll see.
Yeah,
I guess.
I mean, it's crucial. It definitely is.
Okay, let's go to the first video. So we've been talking about time. You can hear people, Kush, his time feel is so nice and crisp and even and just beautiful on this tune. This is,
thank you.
It's basically a version of Airegin. So I decided I wanted to write a contrafact on this Sonny Rollins tune, Airegin, which is Nigeria backwards. By the way, Kush, I'm telling this to the viewers. I know that you know all this already, obviously. And if there are any jazz musicians watching, then I'm sorry if you know all this. But in case you don't, a contrafact is where you've got a chord progression from a jazz standard and you write a new melody on it, right? So maybe people have heard of Donna Lee. That's a contrafact on Back Home in Indiana. Or Ornithology is a contrafact on How High the Moon. So anyway, so this is my version of Sonny Rollins' Airegin. But when I wrote the line, there ended up being an extra bar or an extra measure in the form on the original version, which came out on my album in 2013. But in this one, I decided I didn't like that bar, so I took it out. So here we go. So this is just Nigeria. Hope you like it, people. Cheers. Yeah, beautiful, man. After these videos,
Yeah, man.
I always like, it's like, you know, when you're doing a stream gig and you play a gig and there's just complete silence afterwards and it feels weird. I feel a bit like that right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, well,
Never got used to that. I'm glad
Yeah.
I never got used to that.
yeah. Hey, I'll take that compliment from Jared Forth. Jared, thanks for tuning in, man. Over on YouTube, wicked. That's it. That's all we need. We just want, you know, someone to acknowledge us. No, Dave Ben, here. Yeah, so
Virtual claps.
yeah, that's it. Hey, thank you, James. Thank you, Trousers, Jared, David, Tim, Rich, Tomasek, and everyone else who's joined in. Yeah. Hey, send some questions for Kush, and yeah, maybe I'll relay them to him and he will answer. Okay, Kush.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of young cats in London, and they want to know what Kush Abadey watches on Netflix.
That's funny. A lot of different things, actually, because so I'm a big foodie. I watch a lot of food TV.
Okay.
And when basically Chef's Table is like one of my favorite things to watch. I even go back to old episodes because I never tire of it. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And then I like to watch, like, I don't know, a lot of comedies. I tend to. I mean, I'm very sad that The Office is not on Netflix anymore.
Which one, the US or UK?
Well, the US one. I did watch the UK one, and I liked it, but they're so different, you know?
Yeah.
And I like them for different reasons, right?
Sure.
And what else was I watching? I just finished Schitt's Creek.
Yeah.
I was watching that a lot.
Yeah.
And then I watch a lot of docs. One of my favorite ones that I recently watched was it My Octopus Teacher, I believe.
Okay. That sounds weird. What
which
is
is a really good documentary. It's about this. I think it was a marine biologist or something like that, or maybe he's a photographer and became something else. And he started studying. He stumbled upon this octopus, and he started studying her, and then basically became very emotionally attached to this creature, and over the span of, I think, a whole year, followed her every single day and jotted down things, and actually began to learn, you know, her movements, her environment, the way she thinks, the way she, you know, he basically almost became an octopus himself in his mind. So it's pretty fascinating, I thought. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I watch a lot of different things. I don't have just like one little thing I watch.
Sure.
That's some of the stuff. Yeah.
Hey, what about This Is Us? James, I haven't heard of that, man. But actually, I have heard of it, but I haven't seen it. Do you know that one, Kush?
I know that. I know that show. Yeah, I know it's the way I would have to watch it, I think, is through Hulu, which is like if you're watching live TV and stuff. Yeah. I've seen some. My mom's really into that show, so I've seen some episodes. Seen some stuff. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. It's come to Ant's silly
That's
segment.
That's really funny, though. No one's even asked me that.
Yeah, I know.
That's good. That's good shit.
I asked it on my first one. Well, it's really cool, man, because like now I know, like I did one with Gene Lake, and he liked Ozark and Dark. I don't know.
Oh,
if you know
man,
those shows.
I forgot about Ozark. Yeah. That's absolute. Ozark is an incredible show. Yeah, Jason Bateman. Yeah, it's a great show.
Yeah, it's great, right? And it's good to know that, you know, like Gene Lake is watching it. I know I'm watching like the correct, and if you're watching it, I know I'm like, you know, I'm on the correct diet to be a great musician, you know, and the other people like watching. You know?
Yeah.
And what other ones? My wife and I were watching Terrace House. It's this like Japanese dating show. It's just like Strangely Curious. That was kind of fun. Yeah, I mean there are so many out there. Handmaid's Tale on Hulu.
Yeah.
I like that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, all right, folks, come to the section where I show you some silly stuff that I've appropriated from Twitter, from 2 Twitter accounts that I follow. Okay, first one is Fact of the Day. What do you all think about this? Bill Gates makes about $1,300 every second. If you dropped a $100 bill on the ground, it literally wouldn't be worth his time to stop and pick it up. Well, I know.
Wish I was kicking like that.
Mate, yeah. It's not really in line with jazz life, I don't think, most of the time. However, okay, let's do a poll. All right, everyone watching, you have to join in, okay, and say what you think the answer is. How much does Sting earn from every breath you take per day? Have a guess. Everyone guess. James, Jared, David, just guess. And then I'll reveal the answer in a second. Hopefully some people are going to guess. In the meantime, someone is asking, how old were you when you started playing, Kush?
When I first was introduced to the drums, I was 2 years old.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's the first time my dad put sticks in my hand. And the first thing he taught me was clave on it, like a big cowbell that was basically my size.
Oh my God. Cowbell. That must have done some damage to a young Kush's ears. 2 years old. Okay. Okay, yeah. We got, all right, people are all joining in now with the quiz. This is good. Okay, so someone is completely wrong there, Susie. But Dave Ben Yahir, this is actually quite close. It's estimated by reliable sources that Sting earns $2,000 a day from every breath you take. So the next part of the quiz is,
wow,
how much does okay, sorry, it's going to seem like I'm obsessed with money, and I mean, I'm really not. I would probably be in another career if I was. But how much does Sting earn from every breath you take, for every breath that he takes? Everyone guess. So for every breath, how much money? How much money? Come on, guess, people. Hey, Kush, what do you think? So $2,000 a day. So how much per breath do you think that is, roughly?
I don't know. I'm not even going to guess on this one.
All right. Okay, come on, guess. I hope everyone's guessing. I'm going to give you the answer now, and then we can move on from this silly discussion topic. We breathe approximately 20,000 times a day. So not far off, Trousers. $1. No, that's very close to $1. Yeah. So we breathe 20,000 times a day. So if you're earning $2,000 a day, that's actually 10 cents per breath. So there you go. There's a true fact for everyone. All right, let's move on to the next silly section. Don't worry, Kush. I promise this is gonna be over in a second. Don't worry.
No, I'm enjoying it.
This is so I love this Twitter account called Kids Write Jokes, which is just like, I don't know. Well, check it out. Here you go. Here's a joke written by a kid. Who is the biggest man? No one. You're all the same size. I love that. It's not funny. It's just like deep and wise.
Cute.
So, what are you drinking, Kush? I'm on non-alcoholic beer, by the way, in case anyone thinks I'm drinking on the job, which I would I would definitely drink on the beer, but I'm not going to drink on the stream. It's too dangerous. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking seltzer. Okay. This is a black cherry polar seltzer, one of my favorites. I'm a big seltzer guy.
Fizzy
big
water, is that what that is? Like sparkling?
Yeah, fizzy water, basically.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, couple more questions. These are borrowed from my good friends Dan Smith, Dave Beebe, Tom Quayle, and Jake Wilson over at the Guitar Hour podcast. They always ask their guests these things. Best gig ever and worst gig ever. That you can share.
Yeah, I mean, the worst gig I probably can't share, but the best gig, I would say. Well, I mean, that's a really hard question. I've been very fortunate to have a lot of really cool gigs.
A recent favorite, maybe, or
I don't have maybe a recent favorite. I might say. I feel like, wow, now I'm starting to forget some of my gigs I just had. I mean, every time I play with Melissa, it's great.
Yeah.
Melissa Aldana, shoot, those are amazing gigs. We did. I guess I can count. I mean, we just recorded a new album.
Great.
Which will come out on Blue Note.
Great.
So that's technically a gig when we were in the studio. That was fun.
Lage, did Lage join you?
I don't know. Lage was with us on that. Yeah, he also produced the record as well.
Wow.
So that's gonna be really it's really exciting. Yeah, really exciting project. I mean, anytime, like, I've had some really amazing gigs with Wallace Roney and Galad, you know, and yeah, it's hard. That's always a hard question for me.
I know.
Because there's so many gigs, and they all kind of.
But that's exciting. I mean, we got onto the Melissa record. That's a really exciting thing that we can look forward to. I mean, I've been looking forward to it anyway, but in case people didn't know. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I will say this. I think maybe my second or maybe third gig with Wayne Krantz. That's one of my favorites.
Okay.
It's a very fun gig.
Okay, like what, you'd done a couple, so the nerves were out the way, you felt more relaxed, and it was just like happening under.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we had a rehearsal, just the two of us, after our first rehearsal, and he kind of hit me to some stuff, thinking about time and stuff like that, which really helped me a lot.
Wow.
Like centering the beat and the groove and all that kind of stuff, and then it just helped me learn how to play with him even better.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really cool that way.
That's great, man. Hey, we got a bunch of questions from people, but I love it when someone who's, I mean, he's a bit older, right? And he's kind of respected, and he can say something that's like really helpful, that is like a kind of wisdom thing that, you know, that's really hard to learn. And I don't know, there's definitely a culture sometimes of just, yeah, great, yeah, you know, you played great kind of thing, instead of like, oh, by the way, you know, when you do this, like, have you thought about, you know, maybe something that's more along the lines of constructive criticism. And some of the most useful advice I've been given by one or two, maybe the generation above me, have been things like that, where they, you know, and I'm kind of like, oh, it's like, maybe it's hard to hear at first, but then after time goes by, you're like, I'm so pleased they said that.
Well, because in my opinion, if someone takes the time out to even say anything to you, then that means they're already in your corner, and that you're probably they might feel like you're too good not to, you know, fix something or not to focus on something. You know, that could just like enhance anything that you're already doing, you know, or just, you know, bring your attention to something you're not doing. So, and I find that for myself too, when I'm checking out younger musicians, and, you know, and I see something in them where I enjoy what they're doing, and then I can see there's a potential there, but they might have a bad habit or something that they're doing that's hindering them from actually being even greater. I will definitely say something to them, but if I don't see that potential, then I might, you know, not take the time.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Hey, man, I had no idea you'd played with Wayne Krantz, actually. I probably would have played differently and tried to imitate him on the tracks we did if I'd known. So it's a good thing that I didn't know that. But we got some questions rolling in. So this is from Hugh Vaughan Williams, a very, very fine bass player who I'm very pleased to play with. He says, what's the best piece of advice you've had from a musician when you were coming up or new to the scene?
Well, I've gotten a lot of great pieces of advice. You know, I'll say two things. One thing I know a lot of musicians would tell me is to make sure that you go out and seek your elders, you know, and the people that came before you, the people that are still around, and still playing. Go out and see them if you can get in touch with them, like talk to them, because it really is a lineage that you're following through, and it has to be passed down. So you have to reach up sometimes to grab it, and then it'll also be just passed down naturally if you're worthy. So anytime you have a chance to go and see people that are your heroes, or just people who have been in the game for a while, you should take that chance. Probably more musically speaking, I remember Wallace telling me. Wallace gave me a whole lot of great tidbits of information and tidbits of advice and knowledge. But one thing for a drummer, to always, drummers like to play a lot of drums sometimes, and they think that that's actually propelling the music. But when you're doing any kind of beat writing, whether it's straight ahead, whether it's a broken beat, whether it's whatever, there has to be some kind of constant going on, because every time you drop, let's say if you're doing a 4/4 swing or something, if you're going to fill or if you're going to comp, it should be between like your left hand and your right foot, or your right foot if you're left-handed, then your right foot and your left hand.
Your right hand
left foot and your right hand, because your right hand needs to stay constant on the cymbal to propel the band, because that's the anchor. So as long as you're doing that, you can do anything in your other hand, So that's always taught me how to develop language between my limbs rather than language on top of the drums only. So that's like a drum thing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Great. That's great. Yeah. Thank you, man. Another question from David. What's your experience been of playing live stream gigs this past year? Is the feeling in the US scene that it's here to stay?
Interesting question, because the general consensus from that I've heard is that everyone's ready for live stream to go away. I mean, in the sense of that being our sole, avenue for entertainment.
Yeah.
I think there will be an aspect of it that will definitely stick around, kind of like outdoor dining, which wasn't really huge here yet,
right.
But it's a huge thing in Europe and a lot of other countries. So I think partially it is here to stay, and I think a lot of the venues that have started live streaming will probably keep it in, as a part of their infrastructure. But I know musicians are definitely missing audiences.
Yeah, for sure.
So, because just the whole aspect of live streaming can be a little unnatural. So, it just takes like the spontaneity out of things. That energy transfer you get from the audience, it's hard to replace that.
Yeah.
So.
Man, because I have to say,
I guess it's a 50-50.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, a couple of years ago, being over here in London, and I've visited New York a number of times and will continue to try to as often as I can for what are hopefully obvious reasons. But when I can't, the Smalls Live archive was just unbelievable. Like one evening I would go.
Absolutely.
I could search like Lage or Melissa or you, and then these gigs would come up, and for the membership, so you support, you pay the membership, and hopefully that makes its way to artists such as yourself. And then I can just watch a concert like every night, like as if I was in Smalls. Of course, it's not as good as being there when I could like come up to you at the end of the gig and ask you some annoying questions or whatever, but it's definitely better than nothing. So yeah,
absolutely.
I guess there are positives to it, right? But
I agree.
Okay, a couple more questions coming in, and then maybe we better call it after these ones. What one thing would you recommend to a young drummer starting out, age 12?
Starting out, okay. Well, number one, I would use sticks that are bigger than what you might be comfortable with.
Okay.
Just so that your hands will actually grow, or grow stronger quicker. Another thing is definitely focus on, if you don't know how to read, have someone teach you how to read, or focus on getting your reading good in the beginning. And practice every day. Yeah. The same old ones. Practice every day.
Okay, final one. What makes you smile when you're playing? I have to say, Kush, like, because there are a lot of smiley musicians out
That's
there.
a very interesting question.
Yeah, you're not one
Yeah.
of the like prolific smilers, you know. I mean, you don't gurn either, but you're not as smiley as other cats. Like, I'm sure you can think of cats that smile.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm not like Billy Higgins or anything. But I don't know. For me, things like little things like when, either something happens with another bandmate that maybe you sync up on something and it's just like the synergy is just like there and you're like, oh wow, we did that. Or if there's like you messed up together,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
it's a moment that always makes me smile. Or also when things just feel really good. Like
Yeah.
if something feels amazingly good, it's almost like if I'm not smiling, I either get goosebumps or I smile or both.
Mhm.
Because it's just that kind of like it's a visceral response to like it's why I love music so much, because it actually induces that kind of feeling. So yeah, those things,
Yeah,
normal things.
Yeah. I have to say, sometimes where there's one of those things where maybe you resolve in a slightly different place, and then like I'll be looking at the drummer and you kind of grin, you're like, oh yeah, we messed up. But then after the smile, you kind of look at the bass player to be like, sorry, just like I know we messed up, we'll do better next time. There's the smile with the person who you messed up with, and then after that it's like sorry to whoever's in charge, whoever's like keeping it together, which is probably usually the bass, I guess. All right. Hey, well, Kush, man, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate you bringing your musicianship to these pieces, man, and carving out some time in your afternoon for these questions. Are you over in the UK anytime soon?
Well, first of all, my pleasure. Thank you for having me, and amazing playing on the tunes. Thanks for sending them over, and really great collaborating with you. I hope we can do that in person.
That would be fun.
In the future
Yeah, me too.
I actually will be in the UK. I think September. I think it's like September 4th or 3rd or 4th or something. I'll be at Ronnie Scott's.
Oh, great. Is that with Melissa or Gila?
With Melissa.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Melissa.
Great. Man, I hope that all's cool.
Yeah,
with
so that'll
flights.
be with Melissa and Lage.
Great, man. I'll definitely be there. Cool. All right, folks. So London people, let's keep our eye on the listings and go and catch Kush at Scott's. So this final piece we're going to close out with, and then the stream will end. The Kids Write Jokes was this, which is kind of apt because Dave Manington is the biggest bass player in the world. Look how big he is compared to his bass. He composed the tune that you're about to hear, which is called Thagomizer, and I'll tell you what it is. It's the end of a Stegosaurus's tail, which has these like 4 spines, which I guess it uses to bosh its enemies. So, Dave, you'll have to fill us in on why you called a piece Thagomizer.
Wow.
A comment from me has just come in. Put these QZ performances together. Oh, Matt, that might be boring, but okay, that would be fine, Dave. You'll get to see where I edit between takes if there's something I don't like on my guitar. But Kush, thank you so much. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in and the comments and stuff. Really appreciate it. Hope you like this piece, and stay safe over there, Kush. All the best. Goodbye, everyone.
And like